Hello, welcome and welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Stupid. It's Thursday the 17th of October. It's been raining all day, on and off all day. I'm sick of saying it. I did pray to the gods yesterday to have a reprieve. And what did they reward me with? I've been soaked 3 times today. Literally, I mean, when it got heavy, that's when I was when I had to be outside. When I had to be inside, no rain. It was almost like fucking why does it always rain on me, that song, that was what it was for me today. So and funnily enough, last night I checked the weather for this morning. It said no rain. So no, sorry, it said rain for about 4 hours between 7 and 11. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do what I need to do then because it's going to be raining. What happened? It didn't rain that whole time. It wasn't raining in the morning, sort of beginning of that. So I went out thinking, oh, maybe they got the weather report wrong. As soon as I went out, it started belting down the rain. So you just can't get it right. This is typical. I'll have to have one of those umbrella hats that I could just pull a string here or something and it just opens into an umbrella, and then pull the string and it closes into an umbrella, because you can't work with an umbrella. You can walk with it, but you can't work with an umbrella. So anyway, first world problems, or first world wet first world problems. This is typical of British weather at this time of year. So anyway, we've got other things to worry about, like climate change, when we've got no planet left in according to the scientists, in a number of years. So I'd rather take a rainy day over no days at all. So let's just put things in perspective. A lot of celebrities have been, I've lost the piece of paper, a lot of celebrities have been chastised, or they've signed a letter saying, because they've been called out as being, what's it called, hypocrites. And a lot of celebrities like Daisy Lowe, Benedict Cumberbatch, Cucumber Patch, I was going to say then. What's his name? Steve Coogan. Who else? U2's bassist Adam Clayton, and Mel B, and many others have come out and signed a letter saying that they are, yes, we are hypocrites. Our carbon lives and the industry that we're a part of have a huge carbon footprints. Like you and everyone else, we are stuck in this fossil fuel economy without systematic change. Our lifestyles will keep on causing climate and ecological harm. This was not stop us from speaking out. Anyway, I can't go on and on, but they come out to kind of defend their position on why they're coming out championing in the march, whilst being hypocrites, because they burn up more air miles and fly private jets and all that bollocks. So yeah, I mean, it's good of them. I mean, really, they're just covering their back with that letter. And yeah, true, they have to live that life, but they could do things differently. They haven't said they're going to do that yet, but they don't have to fly private jets. They could still fly to wherever they've got to fly to. They don't have to fly on private jets. They don't have to have the most, or was it said Benedict Cumberbatch has got about 10 cars or whatever, all like fucking super duper engines and all that kind of stuff. So again, it's one of them situations where have all your cars, have your private jets, do all that, but just don't fucking come out and speak at a march, or say I'm changing this and I'm changing that. Unfortunately, yeah, you've got to fly all over the world and you've got to do all that, but you don't have to do certain things which are just fucking, hypocritical, if you like. So don't put your neck on the line if you're gonna not change anything, basically. I'm not telling you, if I was them and I could do all that, I probably would do it, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to come out and fucking hang myself in public and say that I'm fucking championing this, and then while all these people... It's like that film. If you've not seen that film, what's it called? Cowspiracy. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it, because it's just ridiculous. When this guy who's trying to do his best, he's trying to live his life helping the environment, helping the planet, doing all these little things that you can do that the government tell you that you can do, like don't turning your tap off in between brushing your teeth. You know, the little things like that. And he goes to the government building and says to them, you know, what can we do? What can I do? He sets them up basically. What can I do to sort of, for my own thing, to shorten my carbon footprint? And they go in, turn your shower, have shorter showers, only have maybe 2 showers a week, turn your tap off in between whatever, brushing your teeth, all these like minute little things and whatever. And then he says to them, oh, well, I've found out that it takes 2,500 gallons of water just to make the equivalent of 1 hamburger. 2,500 gallons of water. So all the hose pipe bands and all that thing, you know what I mean? He said that was the equivalent of leaving your hose on and flooding the fucking neighbourhood just for 1 hamburger. And the government were like, sorry, we can't talk about that. Sorry, we can't talk about it. So it's fucking hypocritical for them to tell you to do these little things which won't make a blind bit of difference, where 2,500 gallons of water footprint just to make 1 hamburger, but they don't tell you to eat less meat. So it's the same thing, but you know, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but you get the point. Make changes yourself, and then other people will see that their small changes do actually count, basically. So, and then we got, did you see the guy? Some of you, if you live in a different country, you won't have seen him, but there's a guy called Mr. Broccoli. I talked about him the other day, but he got arrested at the march, and he's a guy with a big fucking broccoli head on. I'm going to show it to the video version. I don't know nobody even watches the video version, but anyway, imagine if you're listening on the podcast that there's a guy with a big broccoli hat on and a painted green face, and that's the picture of him there. He got arrested, and he's just like a comedy character, isn't he, basically? But he got onto the telly, and he went on to Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid, and he just basically wound them up. I mean, he didn't do himself any favours, really, because he kind of didn't have any answers to any of their questions. They were obviously drilling him, what's his point with regards to the Extinction Rebellion, and he had no answers, so he weren't the cleverest, and he just kept saying, well, I haven't got any answers because I'm just a broccoli and all I do is grow. So really, he just wrong. You don't want people like that on if you want them to support the march and all that kind of stuff and get behind it and not like fucking be a farce. But he was funny, and then they didn't know how to take it, and they was getting all a bit wound up and getting angry. And Susanna Reid made a surreal comment when she said, can I ask you, right, because he kept making funny little quips and that, oh, I'm a broccoli. And she said, can I ask you a question without any comedy? And she was being serious. Can I ask you a question without any comedy? Are you a plant? Well, that was her question, right? So, fuck it. And then he had a lawyer with him, and the lawyer said something like, my client or this, that and the other, he's a broccoli or something like that. And then Piers Morgan said, he's not a broccoli. He's a human being dressed up as a broccoli. So they were getting wound up and they didn't know how to take it. And I thought that was quite funny. It was fucking surreal. But anyway, he didn't do fucking the Extinction Rebellion people any favours because he's not being sensible. But he's funny. Just don't associate the two. You know. Probably could kick off a fucking sell a few broccoli hats if he gets little quick business venture. Speaking of different kind of broccoli, the one that gets you high, if you know what I mean. Darts legend Bobby George has called for life-saving cannabis to be legalised, saying the drug is a proper bit of kit. He's a company, isn't he? So a proper bit of kit, mate. And he wears it on his. Sponsors it on his t-shirt now, gone to pot on his t-shirt, and he said they should legalise it and the tax could then put the revenue into schools and many other things. And yeah, I believe they should legalise it, especially for fucking medical reasons. And there's so much evidence now that it's good for medical situations, way outweighing the negatives of it. I mean, there ain't no negatives other than the slight one about mental health, obviously, and that is obviously an issue, but those people don't smoke it, you know what I mean? It doesn't do me any favours. I'm not a fucking good weed smoker. I used to be, but it cabbages my head. So You know, my mate can sit there and smoke weed all day long. I'll have one. You know, my head will. I'll have about 1 million questions in my head that need answering, and they won't go away. So you know, it's not suit to me, and I don't do it that much, or don't do it, should I say? Is this legal? Come on, you get the point. Anyway, proper bit of kit, he says, and it should be legalised. And I agree. If you don't know Bobby George, you check him out. Again, you wouldn't think you could take him seriously because he's got about 1 million rings and about 5 watches on, loads of gold, but. You know, he's talking sense there, and he knows his darts, that's for sure. And he's a bit of a geezer, so he's funny. He's a character, let's put it that way. Snowflakes are snapping up tickets to a festival that is devoted to their easily offended minds. The event is aimed at millennials who find dealing with conflict and opposing opinions difficult. So basically, it's like a fucking, what's it called? Padded wall festival or something, where the padded, you know, so or cotton wool, should I say, so that nobody's there to offend anybody or something like that. Somebody will be offended. Somebody will be offended that there's nothing there to offend them now, because it's almost like you're trying to sort of send us up. What do you think we're that sensitive that you have to have a festival that isn't offensive? That's where it will go. They'll be offended that you're putting on a festival that is not offensive. You can't win, you know what I mean? You got to just fucking have a debate. That's what it's all about, you know what I mean? People have difference of opinion. It's not like fucking. You can't just like fucking throw down pad the streets or whatever so that people don't hurt themselves on different people's opinions and stuff. It's wild. I've had people, you know, I do comedy and I do it on stand-up and stuff, and I've had people tell me that I was offensive, you know, really funny, but that was really offensive. I'm like, well, it was offensive to you. Those other guys were pissing themselves laughing. So, you know, it's not... And then I might say something else, might be offensive to them, but they'll piss themselves laughing. The people who just are not offensive to anybody, it's boring, sorry, but that's my opinion. Right, I'm going to throw myself under a bus right now because there's a grime star, Stormzy, threatened to quit his record label in a row over a top executive of the company dressing up as a black rapper. The Brit Award winner was said to be furious bosses failed to take action for a year, and this guy I think has lost his job, and admitting dressing up as a member of the US rap group Run DMC for a birthday party in 2012. I've not seen the picture, but I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the picture, but I'm sorry, but that's not offensive, is what I'm going to say. First of all, that is not offensive that this guy dressed up as a member of Run DMC. I'm not sure. I don't think he did any kind of face paint and all that kind of stuff. I think he just dressed up like him. I could be wrong, so I'm not going to fucking throw everything at it, but I'm just saying that he dressed up like a member of Run DMC. I'm sorry, but that's not fucking offensive. Is Run DMC are hip hop heroes to white people, to black people, to fucking all people? And if that's one of his heroes, and they look cool as fuck, Run DMC did, with all that gear on and the chains and the tracksuits and the, you know, that the Run DMC t-shirts and the gear, they look the bollocks. And if he's a fan of them, and there's a party, people dressing up like they're fucking musical heroes, and he dresses up like them, sorry, that's not offensive. I don't give a fuck who you are or what you say. If you can take offence if they started like trying to black their skin and all that kind of stuff, I can see where you're going with that. But I don't think he did that. He just dressed up like one of his musical heroes in stylish clothes that looked pretty cool. And that was the 1980s breakdance era, and all that look was pretty cool. So I'm sorry, that's like getting offended. You're being offensive. You're being offended by something that's not offensive, and you're creating awkwardness when people are just doing something. They're trying to be trying to celebrate his fucking musical hero. So anyway, let's move on to something that might be deemed offensive, because this one is like gutter TV or dumb TV. I almost say gutter TV. It's just fucking thick, making us look thick. They're putting a house, a Geordie Star house is recreated in Namibia, and in, right, I'll get my tongue tied here. She's recreating they've built her house in a Namibian tribe's desert village for a TV social experiment. So basically they've just put a house that looks like an English house, and they've put it in the desert village where they've got all like their straw and mud hut type houses. And the Namibian tribe, I'm going to show this to the video. The Namibian tribe are obviously like, you know, the real deal. They're proper, like, live on the land and all that stuff, and they're not much clothing on, and they are proper tribes people. And they've got these kind of Geordies going over there to live in their English house in the middle of this tribe. It just sounds like a recipe to be shit, really. And if anything, the tribe are going to think that they're the dumbasses. You know what I mean? I remember that this has been done before, because they did it once a few years ago, where they had some people from a South Pacific tribe, I think, somewhere like, I don't know, Papua New Guinea or one of the South Islands or whatever it was. But they went and stayed with a family in Manchester, and the people from Manchester just look stupid, you know. The tribe people are just looking at each other, just going, "What is going on here?" And like, they've obviously done it because they've been talked into it and been offered stuff by money and whatever else. But they probably just think, "What the hell have we just fucking done?" You know. This woman was trying to. The funniest thing was, I still remember it now. This woman trying to explain to to these tribes people from the South Pacific what an Eccles cake was, and she was going, "Eccles cake, it's an Eccles cake," and these guys just didn't know what the hell they were talking. You know, I couldn't watch it after that. I just thought it was pathetic. But there you go. I think it was meant to be a reverse version of Bruce Parry, when he used to go and meet the tribes people and stay with them for a couple of weeks and get to know their culture and stuff. They brought a tribe over, but put them in a comedy situation, because they put them in with this kind of, like, you know, working class family in Manchester, and it just it was cringy, you know, really cringy, like this will be. So I might have to watch it just for something to talk about on here. But that is, like, you know, it's not even a step too far, it's just a step too fucking shit, if you ask me. Scientists have said they found the fastest ant in the world. The Saharan silver can cover almost a yard in a second, 108 times its body length, and the equivalent of a human running 360 miles an hour. So it records its blistering speeds over sand as hot as 60 degrees by taking up to 47 strides a second. That's why it's the fastest thing on or whatever, because it's on 60-degree heated sand. I think there's a tip for anybody who wants to win the 100 metres or whatever else. Put yourself on fucking burning hot rubber on the bottom of your shoes, and you'll fucking bomb it as fast as the ants across the line, because he's probably, like, the sand's that hot, so he's having to dart it, isn't he? So anyway, there you go. It's the fastest thing. Is it the fastest thing or the fastest ants? It's the fastest ant. It should be the fastest thing if he's running 360 miles an hour. But I haven't got time to read the rest of it because I've got to get through all this. So anyway, let's move on to humans will be living on the moon in just a few years. The claim comes from Asgardia government, a body that aims to become the first nation living and working in space. Well, we'll want to get up there sooner if this extinction thing's correct, and there ain't going to be room for all of us. It's almost going to be like the ships from the Titanic, you know, when we're all trying to scramble on and get off this fucking place we've destroyed, and then get off up to the moon, but and start again. So there'll only be enough room for wives, children, and a few good-looking dudes or whatever who's going to have to repopulate, because the rest of us will be fucked down here if the scientists are true and we don't do anything about it. So let's not do it like the Australians, send just up the criminals and that. Let's send a few sensible people up there, and otherwise we're just going to end up back where we started, and we'll be sending English council houses over to African deserts to see, so they can look at us like we're dumbasses. You get my point with that. But yeah, so it's kind of ironic that we're sending up saying people are going to live up there when we're actually killing the planet, apparently. So what else have we got going on here? Have you dreamed of owning an artwork by Banksy? Well, there's a shop opened in Croydon, of all places, where you can buy Banksy items, but he knows that people are going to be trying to flip the products to make a profit, which is exactly what I thought as soon as I read it. And he's saying now you've got to, and they're not going to sell them to people who are the first people who want to buy them. They're going to limit it to people who want to buy stuff. Then you've got to answer a question, which is, why does art matter? But they want comedic answers, and they're going to let the person buy it who has the funniest answers. So he said, we're not going to be able to stop people from buying things who want to resell them, but we can stop people from being not funny, being able to buy it. So being a comedian, or trying to be a comedian, I might have to give that a go. So let's just see whether I manage to purchase anything from the Banksy shop with my gold. Actually, no, I'll probably collect it, and then if it goes up in value, then all the good in it, because that's whoever's got it will have that situation. But I won't be looking to sell it straight away. Just in case you're watching Banksy, I'll be looking to make a funny joke, although that question is very hard to find anything funny to say to that, isn't it? Why does art matter? It doesn't lend itself to a funny reply, does it? So you're going to have to get my thinking cap on that one. US President Trump said it's not our problem if Turkey invades Syria, calling his former Kurd allies no angels. I don't know why I've had that on there really, because I haven't got nothing to say about that other than he doesn't take any responsibility for fuck all, does he? He only actually thinks anything he does. What did he say? It was one of the strategic moves of the fucking of a lifetime or some shit like that, and everybody else thinks it's a dumb move what he's done, and he just goes and says it's one of the most strategic things that good things that anybody's ever done. You've never known a narcissist like it. You know, it's almost funny. I could ask him for a funny response to that question, because he'd fucking say something that he thought was the most brilliant thing, and it would be comedy. I'd ask him a straight question, ask him straight, and he would give a comedic response that would probably win me one of those Banksy prizes. Martin Sheen, actor, Michael Sheen, not Martin Sheen, Michael Sheen, the Welsh actor, claims he and others have seen spaceships in his own town when he was younger. Says that when he was a kid he saw weird lights over a local mountain, right, while his neighbour witnessed a saucer hovering in her garden. I'm not so sure about the saucer in the garden, but I'm telling you now, I've seen the same thing, UFOs. When we were kids, the whole of my road was out looking at lights in the distance. Must have been 20 people there, and we was all watching these lights that kind of were there, and they stayed there, and then they kind of moved around a bit, but they always came back to where they were in the middle. Nothing that a plane could do, and nothing that a helicopter could do. And they were there for a good hour or two, and we were all just going, what the hell is it? And I had to go in then because I was shouted in by my mum, and I had to go home. And apparently a friend of mine who could look out of the window saw helicopters coming along then and kind of chased these lights away. Now, I don't know of that part because I wasn't there, but I'm saying I've seen lights over the over the hills or whatever, so maybe it was the same day that I saw them that he saw them. I don't know. All I'm saying is that I believe there's something going on up there, and we fucking better hope so, because we might need some help off them sooner or later, because we're going to be in the shit. But anyway, let's get back down to planet Earth. Let's talk what we know to be true, and that is that pumpkins are back in town. Pumpkin season. Pumpkin King James Maxey shows off some of his 25,000 pumpkin harvest, and he said, and he's just got a massive field full of pumpkins. And I've just drove past one today. Pumpkin patch picking available. It said it was a tongue twister, so it reminded me. That's why I pulled this out. But he gets 100,000 visitors a year visiting his pick your own pumpkins, and literally they're just all lying on the ground. I mean, they just grow themselves, don't they? He just harvests them, and he's getting 100,000. So he sells 25,000 pumpkins a year. Fucking quids in. How much does he charge for them? Even if he sells them for £2 each, that's 50 grand. That's a good business there. So get yourself a field if you're thinking about it, thinking about something to do as a business. Get yourself a field, plant your pumpkins, and just wait for it to come around to Halloween, and your quids in, because he gets 100,000 visitors. He's only got 25,000 pumpkins, so he's 75,000 short. So we need some. This Brexit thing, we're going to need some foreign pumpkins. We're short. This is the problem. Right, going to move on to last couple of things. I think I've gone on for long enough here. A film fan has been accused cinema staff of abrupt and confrontational treatment after they threatened to kick him out because he had a cake in a bag. They told him 4 workers surrounded him as he sat down to see the goldfinch at the Curzon in Oxford, and they said he could hand in the cake, which or he couldn't go in and watch the film. Sounds like a fucking drug bust, doesn't it? That's the kind of thing that happens if you was to get caught with drugs or something in the toilet. They'd surround you and say, you got to take the drugs off you. He's getting it for a wedding cake. Or was it a birthday cake? And he wouldn't let them take the cake off him. So I don't know if he got in the end, but to be fair, I sneak shit into the. I don't go to the cinema. If you've heard any of the other, I don't go that often. But if I do, I've snucked or sneaked sweets into the cinema or chocolate that I like, rather than buy their expensive one. I sneaked it in. Imagine that, if they search you and everything and go, "What's this?" It's a Mars bar, or "What's this?" It's quite embarrassing, really. But we've all done it. Cheaper, innit? Last one. Where was the last one I was going to do? I've got loads more, but I ain't got time because I want to keep these short. 2 pensioners who romped in broad daylight on a bus heading to a place called Thrashbush, wherever that is, but it sounds sexual, have gone viral after a passer filmed their antics. Can't do anything these days in public without fucking being filmed, can you? This elderly couple were just getting to know each other a little bit too steamily on the bus. Probably windows were like that scene out of what's it called, with the hand slides down in the Titanic on the bus window. There's 2 elderly couple going at it. A 20-second clip shows the man intimately fondling the woman as they kiss. Come on, it doesn't show that they're actually giving each other one. I've not seen the video yet. You'll have to go and check it out. But it's 2 pensioners who are they're in love, and they leave them to it. You know what I mean? But that camera has fucked them up. What's happened to them now? Have they been arrested? Police in Scotland said they had not received any reports about it, but one viewer said it's disgusting. I don't know. You don't have to look. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I've not seen the video, so I'm not going to comment. But I'm going to leave it there before I dig myself any more holes. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.